Welcome to this week's episode of the Endless Stream podcast. I'm Aidan. As usual, I'm here with Kevin and Brian. We are three illustrators, animators, filmmakers, all-round shit talkers who are going to take some of the endless stream of content given to us by Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Spotify, Crave, Hulu. We're going to take a chunk of it, we're going to watch it, and we're going to talk about it. This week we're focusing on Resident Evil 8, I think, is out, and we're talking about Jupiter's Legacy. Given the nature of these conversations, they're very spoiler heavy, so if you're worried about that sort of thing, maybe go off and watch Jupiter's Legacy and come back and join us. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast and maybe giving us a follow on Instagram or Twitter. All of our socials are at The Endless Cast. We've got illustrations on there that go along with every episode, so it's a way to see some of the additional content that we put out with the podcasts. All that being said, let's hop straight into the episode. Hope you enjoy it. So the first thing we should probably address is Speed Racer yet again. Let's bring that back up and talk about it. I've had some people watch Speed Racer since we've been talking about it, and they all absolutely love it and say that Kevin is wrong.
Well, yep. I was with friends last week, and one of our friends, Tara, she loves it. She thinks it's great, which doesn't surprise me. I think she's been brainwashed by ye brutes, but it's an awful movie.
One of the listeners wasn't entirely certain whether or not we were fucking with you.
Yeah, my brother. Yeah, he listens to the show and he wasn't too sure. He thought you were fucking with me. He thought you were trolling me.
The funny thing is, listening back to the conversation, like, we are so enthusiastic and we are enjoying the conversation that it could seem like we're fucking with you. And when I went to put a title on the episode and asked for a subtitle, like, my first thought was The Gaslighting of Kevin McNamara.
Brutal.
I'm sincerely a fan of that film. I understand people's criticisms and complaints, but I do enjoy it. I see what they were trying to do.
I did that drawing during the week for fun, and I actually enjoyed doing it. The drawing actually was fun to do because I just tried to do something different. But that's probably my most positive takeaway experience from the whole thing.
And Brian just silently loves it. Nothing else to add.
I get why people have a reaction to it. It's what I do like about it is that, like, it does exactly what it set out to do, and you know that. Like, there's stuff in it where it's like, yeah, they intended for it to look and feel and play this way, and there's other films that maybe maybe 5 minutes in a scene, like for example, maybe I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen just the opening scene. But like Mortal Kombat, that opening scene that they released online probably sets the tone for what they were trying to do for the whole film, and then the rest of the film doesn't match it. Not just in terms of like plot or anything, just in terms of the look, the feel, the tone, and everything. It's kind of all in there. And then I think a film kind of lives or dies by how well it kind of executes.
Yeah,
the
like
things
I
it's setting
think
out
that's
to do.
fair enough. Like I do think that's fair enough, and like kind of as well that like I'm not saying Speed Racer is a bad movie. I didn't like it.
No, you 100% said Speed Race is a bad movie.
You 100%
Yes,
said that.
Speed
Tony.
Racer,
It's garbage.
Okay,
It's a terrible movie.
I think we recorded the conversation. I'm not sure.
I will insert a quote here.
If they set out to make a shit movie, yeah, then I agree. They did do a great job because it's really shit. However, I can appreciate why you'd like it, if you get me. I know that sounds really weird, but it's just because, see, the thing is, you see, I know I like really bad movies. I just wouldn't recommend them to people because they're awful. And I think people who have listened to the podcast last week are definitely going to go in more informed and probably with less expectations. I might enjoy it a bit more, but I like bad movies, and when movies set out kind of to do a certain thing and it works, and like it's like kind of for example, Give Him Hell Alone with Thomas Jane, right? That has so many tropes.
Okay, you're gonna have to. I'm aware of Thomas Jane. I'm aware of him doing the Punisher's laundry. Tell me about Give Him Hell Malone.
Give Him Hell Malone is a movie where he's like a kind of hard-boiled, alcoholic, troubled detective, private detective type of thing, and like he drives like a Chevy a Chevy Top Chop Buick or something like that. Kind of a classic car. He has the fedora and the tie and the trench coat and all that kind of stuff. And he drinks whiskey, and like there's characters in it, villains that are just awful.
Is it like a 30s 40s thing, or is it contemporary?
No, it's modern. It's contemporary, but it has like all that kind of tropes. Yeah,
yeah, like it's that vibe. It's
Yeah.
very Dick Tracy.
But it's not that era. It's like
Yeah.
it's neo noir, like the sort of
yes, yeah. Give him Hell Alone. Again, like I'm not recommending people to watch it because it's awful. I loved it, you know. But I just wouldn't subject people to it. But I understand that, like Thomas Jane, he went out. They obviously set out to kind of do something like this, and it's a bit mad. But I loved it. But Speed Racer.
Whenever I think, sorry, this is a complete aside, but whenever I think about film noir, detective, gumshoe type things now, I think back to, like, there's a book I read that is actually getting turned into a movie, but it looked at how disorganized, decentralized, and kind of ineffective the American police force was in the 1800s up to the 1940s. And how if somebody went missing, if somebody got murdered, if something weird happened, you couldn't necessarily ask the police department in your town to look into it in the next state or to follow around the place. So, like,
Weird.
private detectives just became...
That doesn't sound like today at all.
Well, but it's just private detectives became an alternative policing, and that's why it became such a prolific genre and a centralized thing. It's like it kind of was your option for a lot of legal pursuit. But I've taken this off on an aside. I always think about how weird that was and how there's an element of that not being as prevalent today because people don't go and hire private detectives.
But they do though, because to be honest,
that I know of.
They do, yeah.
I mean,
I was
in
going to say,
America,
because how many
they still do.
times have you watched? Because I watch a lot of true crime stuff, and I watch an Irish guy on YouTube called That Chapter. He's very, very good. And a lot of the times when people have been murdered and stuff, and it kind of the case has been cold or it's kind of closed, families hire private investigators constantly, and they're always like ex-military, ex-policemen, you know. And it's funny that
Maybe I'm full of shit.
But no, it's an interesting point because obviously I won't say you are more prevalent because movies and kind of culture and stuff at different times. But yeah, nowadays it's just like the RX military, the RX police, and it's funny how because often you see them on TV, and it's funny how it's just like you think that a police officer would be kind of the pinnacle of how do I say this? How do I say this? It's like a police officer is the pinnacle of, or not pinnacle, but they're like the job. They're the real job, you know? And it's kind of just like police officers, security guards. It's like they're kind of not police officers. But it's funny that a police officer will go from police officer to private detective. You think a private detective is somebody who would want to be a police officer but didn't make it cut. Do you know what I mean? I know that's probably a really wrong way around saying it.
The suggestion is that in the pursuit of a career in law enforcement, police officer is the goal, as opposed to seeing former military or police officers choosing to go a slightly different route.
Yeah. You think that they've less jurisdiction, less jurisdiction maybe, you know. And it's funny how they go from police officer to private detective, but it happens often.
It's probably a Veronica Mars type situation.
One of the girls I used to work with actually was her mother was a private detective.
All right, I'm full of shit. Again, clearly, the art of private detection is alive and well in the modern age, and we just need more representation in film of private detectiving.
I think a lot of them nowadays just look for cheating.
Like Veronica Mars.
Veronica Mars. Brian recommended Veronica Mars to me, and it is brilliant.
Okay.
It's excellent. Have you not seen it?
Oh, you'd love it, man. You would absolutely love it. It's
superb.
Brilliant.
Superb.
Okay.
Everybody watch Veronica Mars.
Yes, everybody watch Veronica Mars if not watch it. And
it's as good as Speed Racer, if not.
Well, that's not fair. It's good. Veronica Mars is brilliant. The movie's good as well. And just because I talk about recommendations, Brian actually did recommend Friday Night Lights to me years ago with Kyle Chandler, isn't it?
Yeah,
and,
it is.
It's probably some of the best TV I've ever watched.
Kyle Chandler, not Ron Livingston. Don't get the two mixed up.
Not
Ron Livingston
or
is the guy.
Any DreamWorks character with one eyebrow up.
Is Ron Livingston the guy from Office Space?
Yes.
Yeah, I do get them confused. Yeah, it's been a great episode, guys. All right. See you all next week.
In Veronica Mars, her dad was local sheriff, and he becomes a private detective because he has to leave in disgrace and controversy.
Yes.
Disgraceful.
Just on the topic of why would someone go from... It's the common thing in fiction then anyway usually is that they have to leave in disgrace over something, but they're still quite good and competent.
Do you know the guy who was in Jason and the Argonauts?
Joel Edgerton?
No. This is the original one.
No, the original.
Harry
Hamlin.
Hamlin,
I think.
Yeah, he's in it, and his wife actually. I think they're both in it, and they're married in the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Hold on.
really
Wife, yeah.
She's on.
Is he? Are we now talking about Give Him Hell Malone, Speed Racer, or Veronica Mars?
Veronica Mars.
Okay.
Jason and the Argonauts.
Jason and the Argonauts. Keep up.
The best the best description I ever heard of Dr. Oz was so if you don't know Harry Hamlin, he was LA Law, he was in Jason and the Argonauts, he's in Veronica Mars,
was he in Tremors?
It's like,
no.
I don't
I always
think
get that
so.
guy confused.
But he's ridiculously square jawed.
He's good fun though, yeah.
But somebody described Dr. Oz. Said Dr. Oz looks like Harry Hamlin slowly turning into a werewolf before your eyes. And it's perfect.
Oh my god.
It's perfect description.
That's so good.
Of Dr. Oz.
Bloody hell.
Or Harry Hamlin if he was to turn into a werewolf. I can't remember where I read it, but yeah, it was...
Made you chuckle.
It's perfect. Yeah. If you're using that clip on social media, you've got to put the two side by side just for people to see.
Yeah. I saw a thing on the internet the other day, and it said Dewey from Mac in the Middle left the show or left acting because he had feelings for Frankie Muniz. And I was watching this video and I was like,
what's Frankie Muniz's excuse for leaving acting?
He made a ton of money.
And I think he got hurt, or else he has some sort of
a series of strokes.
Yeah. So he doesn't really remember that. Apparently,
oh, really?
He doesn't remember Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, his brain's fried. He doesn't remember that whole decade.
Yeah.
He got into race car driving and crashed a lot, and then had a series of strokes, and he just doesn't remember age 10 to 25 or something.
Yeah, and he was in an episode of Criminal Minds where he was a comic book artist.
Okay, that's a
segue, if ever there was one.
It's not so much it's a segue, I suppose, but it's a weird, it's one of those sort of shared experience things. I'm checking in with you as art inclined individuals in Ireland growing up who also watch a shit ton of movies and televisions. Did you find episodes or media where there was an artist, a comic book artist or an illustrator or something, and really become disproportionately fascinated with that episode? Yes. There's an episode of Remington Steele where there's a comic book artist that gets killed, I think in the New Avengers. What's the Disney movie with the guy who Condor Man? Mm-hmm. He was a comic book artist that became a spy, and he would only do anything in the comic book if he could do it in real life. The Take On Me music video, anywhere I saw illustration or art in film,
100%.
was especially fascinating to me.
Yeah. There was that other one. There was a TV show I used to watch when I was a kid, and I used to love it. The name of the show escapes me. But it was the actress who played Marty McFly's mum, and she was an illustrator.
Caroline in the City.
Caroline in the City, yes.
I watched that specifically because she was a comic book artist. Because I was watching it because she was an artist, and because there were little animated segments between it.
Yeah.
The fact that there was a sitcom wrapped around that somewhere didn't really make much of a difference. No, I was there for the moments where they were sitting at a desk drawing.
Yeah, and I liked her. She was great, But yeah, exactly. Yeah. Caroline City. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, things. Anything that had some sort of kind of.
They did a crossover episode with Frasier.
Did they?
Well, kind of. They were on the same network. They just, in the same way that the Mad About You people walked into Central Perk at one point.
Oh, no way.
Something happened. Caroline goes sick and couldn't do the comic strip, so the assistant had to write and draw and deliver it. And then it cut to Daphne reading the newspaper and Frasier, and she was like, "I don't get this. It's not funny." And then she shows it to a man, and the man laughs because a man wrote it this week, so it's man jokes. It was a bit of a shit joke, but it was just funny to see the two shows cross over.
Yes, yeah, fair.
It was a joke about ladies liking shoes.
Is that the extent of the crossover? She
that
doesn't actually appear in the episode.
I think that was the
This is a little Easter
of
egg.
the crossover, yeah.
Okay.
That's why after I said crossover, I did try and walk that back by mentioning the moment where Mad About You walked into the cafe and then walked out again. It was at that level, you know.
Kind of, crossovers back in the day were something else.
Well, the Mad About You though did have Lisa Kudrow playing Phoebe's sister.
Well, the Phoebe sister thing was a retcon after the fact, but but she was an asshole waitress.
Yeah, but that was bigger than.
Was Mad About You the Helen Hunt show?
Yes, Paul Reiser.
Yeah, I used to love it. Yeah.
Mel Brooks was in it at one point. Probably. You don't see that show on much.
No, you also don't see.
I don't know. It was on a lot.
It was on a lot.
It's still on somewhere, guarantee.
You reckon?
Yeah, like I don't know what the version of the Paramount Comedy Channel is anymore, but they fucking showed it about 3 times a day.
Yeah, it's Comedy Central now, but it's like.
Yeah, they're still showing it somewhere.
2.5
You're guaranteed.
I never liked 2.5 Men. Never got into it.
Awful.
What I'm curious about there, Charlie Sheen went off and did that anger management show. That anger management show got a guaranteed 100 episodes. That's what they bought when they contracted him on. So they made 100 episodes of that thing. Did they all air? Where the fuck did that get shown?
To be honest, man, like Charlie Sheen was one of those guys when I was a kid. I loved Hot Shots, basically Hot Shots, you know. But it was always
just Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. That's it.
I love Hot Shots Part 2.
Which is
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just those two. It's just those 2 films, basically. Like we all liked Charlie Sheen, but just because of those 2 films.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Drop Zone.
Which
one was?
Drop Zone is Wesley Snipes.
No, that was Passenger 57. I thought.
Wesley Snipes in Drop Zone as well. With
no, Elizabeth Hurley's in Passenger 57. Elizabeth Hurley did Passenger 57 without a valid work permit, and then she couldn't work in America.
This is the worst episode ever.
Yeah, but which one was Wesley Snipes in?
Both of them. He was in Drop Zone.
He
was in
Drop Zone and Passenger 57.
So Charlie Sheen was in Terminal Velocity?
Yes, I think so.
Because
which one had Yancey Butler, who was in Witchblade?
Who was not in King of Queens?
Probably Drop Zone.
Because I mixed them up.
Is that Leah Remini?
Leah Remini and Yancey Butler.
You mixed
Leah Remini, who's a Scientologist, who I just found out is
ex-Scientologist,
like Elizabeth Moss, who is in *Handmaid's Tale*.
Is she in
The West Wing?
Is she an ex-Scientologist, Elizabeth Moss?
Oh,
no, I don't think so.
I think she's a current Scientologist.
Drop Zone had it was Mick Nulty or Gary Busey was the bad guy.
Drop Zone had Leah Remini.
Leah Remini, he was a bad guy, or is that a woman?
Drop Zone had Yancey Butler.
Yancey Butler is a bad guy,
who he confuses with Leah Remini.
Yancey Butler's a woman,
an ex-Scientologist.
but I try
unlike
to say,
Elizabeth Moss, who's a current Scientologist, who's in The Handmaid's Tale.
And Tom Cruise did a halo jump in Mission Impossible.
Gary Busey was in Drop Zone with Wesley Snipes. And
no, he was in Point Break.
Past Point Break, you think of?
No, because I've googled it. You're not doing this to me. You're not doing this to me today. Passenger 57 was something to do with was it something to do with The Fugitive?
No,
or
you're thinking. No, you're thinking of US Marshals, which then had an odd sequel. Was that somehow connected to Double Indemnity? Because I know Tommy Lee Jones was in all of them. Was he the same marshal?
I thought it was The Hunted with Benicio del Toro.
No, because he's not the same U.S. Marshal in that. He's
not the same. Okay,
trainer guy who.
I'm having a nosebleed.
Right.
But I get The Hunted mixed up with The Hunt with Mad Mikkelsen, and then
very different.
Hunted with Betty Gilpin just came out.
Samuel Gerard is Tommy Lee Jones's character, and he must be in. Well, he's in there.
U.S. Marshals is the sequel to The Fugitive. U.S. Marshals.
Yeah.
So is Double Indemnity, not Double Indemnity, Double Jeopardy. Double Indemnity is a movie from the 40s.
The film noir one.
Jimmy Stewart?
Jimmy Stewart.
It's not Jimmy Stewart.
It is Jimmy Stewart.
Don't think
he's the insurance. He's the insurance guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
It is Jimmy Stewart. It's what do you call it? The A Wonderful Life, right?
Yeah, but that's not. It's not Jimmy Stewart, is it?
I always thought it was.
I don't think it is.
Fred McMurray. I always get him mixed up.
Yeah.
With other people. And Edward G. Robinson is the name I always forget.
Yeah.
Is Tommy Lee Jones the same character in Double Jeopardy as he is in U.S. Marshals and as he is in The Fugitive?
Fugitives, U.S. Marshals, yes, because they are linked. Double Jeopardy, that's the one with what's her name?
Diane Lane.
Judd.
Ashley Judd.
Ashley Judd.
But
Brian,
I used to mix up Diane Lane and Ashley
you're
Judd.
making this harder. Which I always actually confused. I always think double Jeopardy. Did you say it was called, Aiden? With Judd? I always confused that with the real life incident between Christopher Walken
And Natalie Wood.
Natalie Wood.
What's the other guy?
Robert Wagner. Is it?
Robert Wagner.
Was it Rabner? Is it? He played. Didn't he
Wagner,
play
I
Bugsy
think,
Malone
yeah.
in the movie?
I can't remember. He's in Heart to Heart.
Robert Wagner.
Wait. No, I'm thinking Bugsy.
Yeah, what's his name?
With Jodie Foster.
No. Was that the one with Jodie Foster? And he has to count the dwarfs from Snow White. He had a whole thing about it, didn't he?
Over the Rainbow? Is that a movie? This is the worst episode ever.
This is the best. This is a spider web.
I have a question.
Was Tommy Lee Jones the same character in The House Bunny?
In Iron Man 1 and 2,
Hmm.
have you noticed that Robert Downey Jr. is always wearing flared pants? Even in his Formula 1 gear, he's always wearing flared jeans. And they always cover his heel.
It's to hide the
Yes.
heels on his shoes.
Yeah, he wants to be
'cause they've
taller,
massive
right?
lifts. Yeah.
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 It's in everything he wears.
They got huge lifts.
He wears... So he's
He
wearing
wears massive
floor
heels.
length boot because he wears huge heels to get him up a few inches, does he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, quite a few
That's
inches.
really disappointing because I'd like to think he's more fucking practical or realistic.
Secure about
yeah,
that sort of
secure
stuff,
because
yeah.
I mean, like he's 5'9", and 5'9" is kind of
It's short.
Crazy short, yeah.
It's
but
short.
it's the Hollywood height they want for setting up scenes and cameras and stuff like that. Like because my friend is an aspiring actor, he's 6 foot something, and he said that goes against him sometimes. He's like 5'9" is the perfect height. He's like Tom Hardy, Robert Downey Jr., and he just listed off a ton of names of actors who are 5'9".
Yeah, but that feels like the episode of Entourage where they talk about Adrian Grenier's head being big and that's why he's successful. He's got a big Hollywood head.
That is true, though.
Big Hollywood heads.
Big heads. It's so true. It really is.
Okay, well, I was saying like kind of the 5'9" thing
really is.
might be a stretch, but you're saying people in Hollywood have large heads.
Look at any leading man. Right. Big heads, small waists.
It's weird because I know some ugly dudes who have big heads, but kind of are popular.
Big heads look good in camera. They do.
I've got a big head.
Yeah, but you're.
It's hard for me to buy hats.
Yeah, but you're like, you have a big head, but there's like, it's like, it's not in proportion to other parts of your body. It's all kind of just like, cascading forms of different masses.
But that's what they like. He's just a big, massive, non-Euclidean geometry.
yeah.
I get it, okay.
Yeah, as my father would say, Jesus, I didn't know to stack shit that high.
Wow.
Yeah. He said a lot of things.
How to take tall people down a peg or two.
Yeah. Is he taller than me? My dad might be a little bit taller than me. I mean, he didn't have the tallest kids, did he?
Well, you two, you're both, 6'1",
No!
6'4", somewhere in there.
Together, yes!
Together. If you stack us just right, we're 6'1".
It brides on my shoulders.
No one needed to know that I was misleading them there. You guys,
I don't want any
you guys
lie.
are both-
I don't want a Robert Downey Jr. at my height.
Yes,
okay?
yeah. We don't.
So,
the worst thing would be like if someone's like,
We're comfortable about it.
we're
We just hate it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when
But we're
it's
comfortable
like when I
with
go
it.
to parties and like if anybody asks, I'm 5'10".
what are you?
Why?
Because you watch people around you realize they might be shorter than 5'10".
Brilliant. I believe you do that. You sadistic fuck. But yeah, that's excellent.
I've read a few like Tinder Bumble anecdotes from women saying that they've dated guys who say they're 6 foot or whatever in their profile, and then they're on like the girl will be 5, let's say 5'8" or 5'9". So
Yeah.
and the guy is the same size as them, and like the guy knows they're the same size, and the woman's saying, well, like I'm 5'8" or 5'9", the guy's like, no, you can't be because I'm I'm 6 foot. It's like we're the same height, buddy.
That's hilarious.
And then just watching the guys have this,
Meltdown.
existential panic because they some of them, I mean, some of them knowingly lie, and then others think, I'm a solid,
I'm about that, yeah.
5'11", 6 foot or something.
Yeah, you might have been at one point, but time takes a toll.
Well, that's it. Like,
I think they never were, to be honest.
well, people often say to me like, oh, like could be talking about something, and like even my girlfriend's friend the other day was saying like, oh, but sure, Kevin must be 6 foot at least, and it's just like me, 6 foot. It's like maybe because my girlfriend's 5 foot nothing, but
It's your personality.
Definitely not 6 foot.
You've got a big presence in a room.
Larger than life personality.
Yeah, big.
And you wear heels.
I have a big head.
It's the heels
I do wear heels. But basically I do wear heels because I have docs that I wear, and they definitely make me 6 foot. They must make me 6 foot at least.
So Robert Downey Jr. is wearing heels. You watched Iron Man 1, 2 and the Hulk. You've thoughts this week on classic Marvel?
Yes. So I watched Iron Man 1 and 2 with my girlfriend. She doesn't like Iron Man. She doesn't like him.
Oh, so hold on. Let me then. You mentioned recently enough to us that she's basically not seen any of these movies.
She's not seen any of the MCU stuff really at all.
So this is a rewatch because you're introducing her to this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And if this doesn't work out, you just dump her, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say. We're going to have 3 years, so...
So, Kev, she doesn't like the character or doesn't like the film?
Doesn't like the character. Because she likes...
Between Iron Man 1 and 2?
Yeah. But I did tell her, though, kind of like... Well, you're trying to avoid spoilers and stuff, but you're like, kind of like... he kind of comes around. Like, he kind of redeems himself.
I've watched enough... I've watched enough reaction videos at this point from, like... Look, the lockdown has been hard. I've watched a lot of reaction videos, but I've seen a number of people start off going, oh, I hate this guy and I hate the fact that I'm watching Iron Man. And then by the end of it, they've seen his journey, they've seen his insecurities and the post-traumatic stress he goes through and how much he wants to defend the world around him and his family. And they're in tears at the end of Endgame as well. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen for Emer, but I have seen a lot of that reaction where they're like, "Oh, fuck this guy," and then by the end of it, they get him.
But I think that's kind of intentional to a degree, you know.
Like when Stan Lee created the character, he said he was basically daring fans
not to like this guy.
Yeah. He intentionally
amazing.
He set out to make fans like a character that's dislikable.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. But that's what
he starts from a bad place, like, and it's funny looking, like, because I had a black and white I guess it would have been. I had a reprint of like the origin story of Iron Man from the fucking 60s, and it's him in a Roger Moore leisure suit traipsing through the jungle and tripping over a trip line and getting a landmine. Like it's that era warfare rather than a sort of like Middle Eastern. Was it Afghanistan they were in? Insurgency sort of stuff with the
kidnapping. But it's certainly implied anyways,
he was definitely an arsehole who
100%.
had to be brought round.
He's very unlikable in 2. 2's a mess.
2 is a mess. Right, so I have some things about 2, but I was just going to say, it's just like even say Black Widow. When she's in it and stuff, and she says like that he's not a fit for the Avengers Initiative, that he's a textbook narcissist and stuff. And there is an aspect of Iron Man that he definitely is playing up to. Tony Stark is definitely playing up to that kind of bravado and the playboy and that kind of thing. Because even if he is a textbook narcissist, he would he be as selfless? Just going from Iron Man 1 and 2, not talking about the other movies.
He's drowning his
guilt.
He's drowning his trauma and his guilt in all that behavior.
Yeah. Self-destructive, I get you.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a bit rich for, a murdering psychopath to say somebody's not a good fit.
Yes.
Because,
yeah.
I mean, Black Widow's quite a dark character. But 2's a mess. They didn't know what they wanted to do with the film.
Mickey Rourke did not work out in that movie.
You mean, wait, he didn't work out or he didn't exercise to look
No,
well?
I mean, probably both, because I think he looks like he's wearing a bodysuit or something. His muscles don't really look natural. It was 10 years ago. Maybe they are. But I was going to say, he's not in he's in one scene with Tony Stark, properly, like. His lines are really, like, he doesn't have a whole lot of lines, and You kind of get the vibe that they're in one scene together, and I don't even know if you actually see them. I can't even remember if you actually see them in the scene together. It's that whole like back and forth type of stuff, you know. And it's like for the billing he had such a kind of like.
That's interesting because Robert Downey Jr. and Mickey Rourke would be contemporaries, right? They would have been that sort of 80s era Brat Pack.
You think they're the same age?
Stuff, right? Yeah. Do they work together in the 80s? Like, would they have a
I don't
history?
think they did.
Would you not say there's like 10 years between them at least in terms of their careers and stuff?
Well, you see, I don't know much about Mickey Rourke's background. Like, Downey Jr. was, kind of born into it, so I feel like he started a little bit earlier.
I know Angel Heart and stuff. I remember Angel Heart with Mickey Rourke.
To be fair, yeah, Mickey Rourke has 10 years on Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I
would
have
think
thought
of them
so.
as being around the same.
I think it's because they probably both dipped out and came back in, you know. But obviously, I think Robert Downey Jr.'s second chance was more fruitful than Mickey Rourke's. But I think Mickey Rourke kind of fell back into the old habits again, didn't he? A little bit. Kind of picking the movie roles and being a bit funny about them and going a certain way.
Rourke had like almost 2 shots at a comeback, you know.
Yes, yeah.
And he kind of
Sin City and the Wrestler kind of almost.
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts on the Hulk? The Incredible Hulk, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah, with Ed Norton. Do you know, actually, kind of just like watching the movies now, because we've watched Captain America, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, and Thor. Watching the movie, we haven't watched Thor with Hulk.
So you did a chronological thing?
Yes, yeah, we're doing it chronologically.
Okay.
It's really interesting because in Iron Man 2, there's a moment where Samuel Jackson, like Iron Man, Tony Stark is talking about the reactor in his chest kind of failing, and he's potentially poisoning himself every time he uses a suit and he's going to die, you know? And he's saying he tried everything, and Samuel Jackson's almost like, well, you didn't try everything, Mr. Stark. You don't know everything. And it's just like when you watch that, having watched the likes of Captain Marvel, it's just like, wow, like I wonder where they was it that planned out, or did it just work out really well for them?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Okay, fair.
Not even close.
I think they put a broad line like that into an Iron Man movie, and they're able to capitalize it when they go back to give him some backstory.
Yeah, but anyways, in regards to Hulk,
I think The Incredible Hulk is a better rewatch than Iron Man because it's got a better third act. If you ignore the fact that like how much was dependent on Iron Man being a success to like launch the whole MCU. And forgetting all of that stuff, if you just kind of watch the two side by side, I think Incredible Hulk is a much more rewatchable film. Like I remember years ago, I think before we even had the Avengers, rewatching Iron Man on Blu-ray and really losing interest.
I remember you saying that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like I really did just check out like after he flight tests the suit, the silver version.
Yeah, not much else happens.
There's nothing else worth kind of watching in it, really. There's very, very small stuff, but it's not even because of like a lot of people say, oh, it's the kind of villain at the end. It's just a bigger robot and stuff. It's like that fight looks okay, but it's just there's no interest in getting to that point for me. There's another 30 minutes before it gets to it, and it's not that great. Whereas the Incredible Hulk builds up to him on the he's been running from Ross. He's only just reconnected with Betty, and he's in the, I don't know, is it like a kind of a cargo plane or something? But he basically he kind of decides that he's got to step in and do something about this because he's the only person who possibly can, and he just makes this decision to try direct it at something, not control it, just guide it. And that's the third act, and that's what he does, and it's a much stronger.
The Rio section in that movie is great. The banner stuff, I love. I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that. I think it's great. I think they do a really great job with the fugitive stuff.
The stuff him running in Brazil, that's exciting stuff. And then him fighting.
Oh God, my anxiety. I don't know. I've seen the movie before, and I was watching it kind of like, and I don't know. I was just watching it going like, oh, this is very intense. And I was even saying to Emma, I was like, oh, this is very intense. It's good. I was going to say, it is a good movie. It's a really good movie.
Except for the Hulk stuff. What the Hulk looks
and the Abomination, yeah. The Hulk just...
It's horrible.
He's too...
I don't think it even looks that bad, to be honest.
But I don't think his face isn't great, though. He looks too, cartoony or chiseled or something.
It's a shame. Every time I turn that movie on, I'm enjoying it, and I'm just annoyed that it looks the way it does. I just wish it looked better. I want them to like, I want them to come back in with the Ruffalo rig and just put that Hulk in.
That's what I said that to Emer. I was like, could you imagine like kind of watching this movie and like, you know, there was an algorithm that like nowadays would just update the special effects in movies to today's standards. You could just watch it kind of like that, or you could
Open
choose
the
to watch
file, switch out the rig.
Yeah, but I will.
Like they did it with Sonic the Hedgehog.
I was going to say though, there's a.
But then where did they stop?
Ed,
did they take Terrence Howard out of Iron Man?
Oh my god! He took the guns out and gave them walkie-talkies. So, but I was going to say, apparently Ed Norton. Now I don't know if it's true. I just read it. Ed Norton has something in his contract that when
he's got script control.
Script control,
yeah.
And he had a whole scene, and they filmed it. And I'm pretty sure I saw it where Ed Norton is in the middle of like the Antarctic or something, and he tries to commit suicide, and the Hulk won't let him.
No.
I remember in the trailer, the first trailer for the film. But no, sorry, another scene. Like there's a full scene with him and Ty Burrell's character in the trailer where they have like a therapy session, and that was completely removed from the film. But it's in the trailer. It's in the first trailer to release where Ty Burrell is sitting down with Norton.
Who's that, Brian?
Betty's boyfriend in the movie.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
He's got a much bigger role
in the movie.
In that film.
Also,
but
let's get Liv Tyler back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
She's great.
She's brilliant.
I mean, her and Darcy could solve some mysteries.
Yes.
That's Modern Family, is it? Is he Modern Family? Who's Darcy?
Kat Dennings' character.
God, that's an awful movie idea.
Darcy and Betty Ross.
But
solving science-based mysteries.
Betty Ross could come back for the She-Hulk show. That'd be awesome. I think potentially there's a good movie in the Hulk. The idea of the leader and stuff, I liked it. What's his name? Blonsky? That's not how you pronounce it.
Emil Blonsky, yeah.
He's brilliant.
That's why this chronological watch you did is kind of funny, because it absolutely makes sense. But like when I saw the Hulk and Blonsky starts getting this proto super soldier serum, and you start to see what a Captain America might look like on film, and you see him outpace the people he's running against. Yeah. You know, you're like, oh, that's what a super soldier could look like. And then you get Captain America, and then you see what it should look like. And like, I liked that progression of getting a hint of what they were aiming at, and then seeing it go wrong. You said you think there's a good movie in there. I think it's a good movie.
I think it is. Yeah, I quite like it.
Really would like to retcon out those visual effects. I don't like them. He's so.
I don't even. I don't.
As well.
I don't mind them that much, to be honest. I don't think they're that bad. I think they've aged about the same as the effects in Iron Man 1 and 2, probably. I even saw recently, like in Iron Man, that first scene where you see him in the red and gold armor, and he like fires the missile at the tank and he dodges. It hasn't dated, but it's come on so much since that.
There's a scene in the Hulk where
don't get me wrong, I don't think the effects, like, I think they're cutting edge. I don't know if they're Weta or ILM at that point. They're top notch visual effects. I just hate the design.
I think I had issues with the design initially, but now I can't think of Iron Man any other way, you know. But there is a scene with like I can't think of Iron Man in any other suit.
Oh, my design.
You know?
I'm just talking about the Hulk.
Oh, sorry, the Hulk. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Iron Man design's fine to me.
I love this particular era of Iron Man, but in the Hulk, like so I'm not mad on the Hulk's face. I think that's kind of the issue, and I wish he was a little bit more hulking, and they definitely have it right with the Ruffalo model in the Avengers and stuff. I love that Hulk, but there is a scene in Hulk with Ed Norton where he's on the edge of a cliff and he's kind of screaming and stuff, and that's actually a cool scene. Like, that's, if you just pause it like that, that's a cool frame. That looks nice, you know. But then he goes back to Banner and he's just left him stranded on the side of a cliff. It wasn't very thoughtful. He just dragged the woman up a cliff and then they're stuck there together.
Inconsiderate Hulk.
Yeah, it's awful. But it's sad, and there's a good moment where he's like, "Leave me alone," and it's just like, oh, like that's they did hit some really good beats. It's just, I think, special effects wise, not the Mae West.
So that brings us then to Mae West. Was she in Double Indemnity or was she in Key Largo?
It was the Maltese Falcon.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I thought it was the Treasure of Sierra Madre.
No, that
was Humphrey Bogart for sure, but he was also in The African Queen with Katharine Hepburn, who was in True Grit or Rooster Cogburn.
True
Rooster
Grit.
Cogburn. It wasn't
Was
in
it?
True Grit.
Was it Rooster Cogburn?
No, it's in the sequel.
Jewel of the Nile.
Are you talking about what's the film with The Rock and Emily Blunt? Is that what we're talking about?
Rampage.
The Rock and Emily Blunt.
Rampage?
No.
Oh, did that come out?
No, it hasn't come out. I don't think. No.
That was the Disney ride. The what the fuck is the name of it?
It's another Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, it's the
Down the
African
river
Queen
movie.
ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Is it called The African
Welcome
Queen?
to the
No,
jungle.
it's not. It's Jungle.
Jungle River. Jungle Run. Mousetrap.
Mousetrap
Mousetrap.
Mousetrap.
Mousetrap, the movie.
with The Rock
Yeah.
and Emily Blunt.
Yeah. I actually love Emily Blunt.
Jungle Cruise?
Badass. Jungle Cruise.
Jungle
That's
Cruise?
it. Jungle Cruise. Yeah. That's not out yet, is it?
No,
No.
that's
Don't
That's
know.
gone, right?
No, I don't think so.
that's funny. Well, that's. I mean, look, I was going to go on to Marvel, but that's a nice, neat segue into. I have a note here that there's a new trailer up for A Quiet Place 2.
I've not watched it because
Well, that's fine, but I just wanted to. Pre-lockdown, A Quiet Place 2 was in Irish cinemas.
the posters were, but I think it didn't get released.
I think it was screening because I kind of kicked myself for not going to see it.
I feel like it was, yeah.
I wanted to go and see it and I didn't.
I wanted to go see it. Yeah.
I feel like it was, to be honest, yeah.
I didn't see the original in the cinema, and I was really annoyed that I didn't because I absolutely loved it when I watched it on TV.
I hope you learned your lesson.
I watched that movie late and it was just like I watch it and just go, John Krasinski'd be alive if his family didn't keep fucking up.
The nail scene. Ugh.
Like, am I wrong? Every step of the way, someone in his family makes a loud noise and he has to try and sort shit out. Ultimately,
That's why in a zombie apocalypse, no partners, no children. They hold you back.
it's a good rule.
Yeah.
Will Smith had it right. He survived forever with the dog.
Yeah.
Shit went sideways when another human turned up.
Yeah, exactly. No partners, no kids.
It already had its premiere, so there's a good chance, I think. It had premiered and it hadn't opened yet in America. So there's a good chance that it did open over here, but I don't remember. Who can remember? Everything is a blur now. Time is meaningless.
Yes, the time is meaningless. And I hate it.
Scheduled for release 20th of March 2020. People went home on the 13th, but there wasn't a fucking full lockdown. Cinemas and shit were still open. That movie came out.
I'm pretty sure they pulled it.
Well, I mean, if it was due to come out on the 20th, then we would have had posters everywhere for it.
Yeah, we definitely had
They're
posters.
two weeks
still on
beforehand.
buses going around
So-
Dublin.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Like, I should probably look for one of them and read the fucking release date that's written on the side of it.
It's probably 20th of March.
Hmm.
And then we went into full lockdown for 2 weeks on the 13th.
Yeah,
So it would have
missed it.
Yeah.
Might have been from early viewings or something, but such a pity because it's like, I want to see it. I do hope cinemas come back. I'm worried that they won't.
It's interesting. I know Cineworld like officially is out of business in Dublin.
they might close for a while, but I mean when they're running, they make a huge profit.
Yeah,
So
sure. Popcorn is the biggest markup of any product in the world. It's like an
Yeah.
800% or something nuts like that. And I know, like, that's probably, I don't know if that's a real number, but it is something like 800% markup from what it
it
actually
is. It's huge. Yeah.
Yep.
A bag of popcorn costs like 10 euro in the cinema.
The
It's
contents
insane
of the bag
for a bag of popcorn.
and the content, like, the popcorn kernels and the salt and the probably cost them like 20 cents altogether.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
So I mean, the thing is, I mean, if business is about profit margin in cinemas is absolutely huge. If they can, like, the costs are quite high to kind of be set up and everything. But even if something goes out of business, there's a building that's kind of fully furbished for cinemas, so
Exactly.
it's a good investment for somebody to kind of come in and reopen. So I don't think they're going away.
Like, I don't know the ins and outs of business because, of course, I am an idiot. But might simply mean we've closed the doors, we're stopped paying rent, we're not paying electricity, we're not paying this, that, and the other. Oh, everything can open up again? Let's re-establish some contracts, we're back in business. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It might be as simple as, we'll start paying rent on this
Like,
premises again.
If you think about how big a business studios are, right?
Yeah.
They're absolutely massive. They can afford to spend effectively $500 million between, a budget and marketing costs on a film. And as big as they are, they have to play ball every year with the exhibitors, being the cinemas. So, yeah, even if a cinema is closed, they're such massive entities in this huge industry that they're not going anywhere. They just might not be in the same, whether it's the studio comes in and buys the cinema and then has its own arm, but that's a good move for them then as well because they're not splitting profits in the same. Anyway, it's they're going nowhere.
So just on trailers then, I mentioned A Quiet Place 2. Watch the trailer for the Dexter revival. It's just a little bit of a teaser. If anything didn't need a revival, it's Dexter. That thing limped to an ending and went from I was only telling Kev yesterday that, you know, Dexter is in my top 3 for television moments.
There was only 4 seasons though, wasn't there?
There was only 4 seasons.
There was only 4 seasons.
Yeah, it ended after the 4th season with John Lithgow, and it was great. Yeah. So
I mean, it basically got better every season.
Why come back after the great ending there in the 4th season?
That was spoiled on me, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I was so devastated. Someone said to me just before I watched that last episode of season 4. Someone said, like, I won't say it, but someone said what happened, and I was just disgusted because I knew I hadn't seen it, and I was watching it. It's awful.
I was watching that season of, I mean, maybe it speaks to a medical condition, but I was watching it in the living room and the person next to me turned and went, "Is that your heart beating?" Could hear my heart beating as I was watching John Lithgow be terrifying.
You were scared of him, or you were afraid of him? Sorry,
I was so invested in the scene, and the tension was such that.
Was it the Thanksgiving dinner scene?
I mean, it could have been that. There's just that's a bloody.
He was so good in it. My God,
he was terrifying.
It doesn't even make a lick of sense. He did such a great job. So yeah, I mean, look, to be real, there were series after it. It just got worse. Dexter made dumber decision. Like at a certain point, I just said I'm watching Deborah. The show is called Deborah because she is the reasonable, sensible protagonist that makes good decisions and tries to do the right thing. And they treat her like shit as the show goes on.
That always makes for a great protagonist.
But she tries to do the right thing within shitty situations. She has to break the rules.
That's pretty much never what a protagonist is.
No, but
funny enough. No. But what I'm saying is that's how bad the show was. Is that we were more interested in
a supporting character,
the straight character.
Yeah, she was breaking the rules to support the system. But every time there was, Dexter just kept making shittier and shittier decisions. It got to a point where I was yelling at the television, going, "That doesn't make a fucking lick of sense." And then they treated her like shit at the end of it.
I think my issue was with the show is just like, and it was definitely after the John Lithgow, because I think even season 3 wasn't great, but John Lithgow anyways. But I just had issues with the fact that, like, kind of like, it was just like any cliffhanger episode, it would just start with him like you know, he got stuck in the basement and it was just like, oh my God, he's gonna be caught. And then just the next episode, he's just walked out a different back door, and it's just kind of like, what?
I don't know. I mean, I'll probably watch it just because I watched 7 seasons of Dexter up to that point.
I will not watch it because I've watched that many seasons of Dexter, basically.
What's the purpose? Yes. What's the purpose of bringing it back?
So after Lithgow, Colin Hanks?
No.
And Edward James Olmos?
No.
Johnny Lee Miller?
I think it was Johnny Lee Miller after, yeah.
And then who was 7?
7 was Colin Hanks. Was that the season before the last season?
Okay, well, then speaking of things that maybe one season too many, or some seasons too many, the next trailer up was Stranger Things season 4?
I watched all of season 3 till the end, fell asleep at the last episode, haven't gone back to watch it, no interest. I thought Stranger Things initially was going to be like an anthology kind of Twilight Zone-y thing when I first saw the trailer, and I was quite excited for it. And I kind of enjoyed... I did enjoy season 1, but I think it's very... I just don't... one of the worst episodes ever, season 2, I think episode 7, when they had that like makeover in the gang, and they all have like different weird accents, and it's just so bizarre. It's just not... It doesn't work.
I don't like the show at all.
No, I'm not a fan of it anymore.
I don't think it works.
Yeah, I enjoyed season 1, but
I think it got by in a lot of nostalgia in season 1, but like I just... It's been so long since I watched it, but there's stuff in season 1. The show's a mess. Like it starts off with showing us like the Department of Energy are doing experiments and stuff, and then it cuts to something else, and it cuts to something else, and then it tries to tie this mystery in. It's like, it was clearly the Department of Energy because you just showed us they're doing something in like, the opening scene, and it takes so long for the show to get around to it, and it just it's not a good show. It's just big nostalgia trip. The opening theme is brilliant, and I wish the show was that. I wish it matched the energy set by the opening credits, because
Yes, yeah.
it's weak. It's not good.
Honestly, I thought it was gonna be some kind of cool anthology 80s type of trophy show, you know. But and like, I know people always go on about nostalgia, and obviously because people go on about nostalgia because they grew up watching 80s movies, but some people are going like, oh, I like it because it's so nostalgic, and it's just like, I don't even think you were around for 80s movies. Never mind the 80s. You know, it's like, what the, like, I yeah, I'm gonna be that guy. It's just like, I think a lot of people kind of like bandwagoned on it and said that they liked it because of the 80s, and it's just like, I was born in 88. I don't even fucking remember the 80s that much. You know, like obviously movies and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah,
Overhyped,
you can have nostalgia or an affection for the aesthetic of an era and stuff.
Oh yeah, fair. Yeah,
like it's not moving forward, and its solution has just been like increasingly big monsters. Like, I did think the is it season 3 where the guy gets possessed? That was a cool.
Yep, season 3 was my favorite season, to be honest. Like, I thought didn't like 1, 2 was a mess. 3 actually had some. I was more invested in season 3 than I was of the previous 2 seasons.
And that kind of gives me a little hope for season 4, but
I liked John Ralphio and his friend at the ice cream place, and I liked the lifeguard. They were cool.
Maya Hawke, is it? Maya Hawke, Ethan Hawke's, and
I know it's not John Ralphio, but
I know,
but
Who, the guy with the beautiful hair? He's Ethan Hawke's son.
No, his friend in
the girl with the
ice cream
beautiful
shop
hair is Ethan Hawke's daughter.
The girl in the ice cream shop.
Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter, yeah.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah, to be fair, she's actually good in it. Like, she's actually not a bad actress or actor. But it just became meh, didn't it?
Am I right? Uma Thurman's kid?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
that lifeguard's great. He plays that.
Billy.
He plays that perfectly. Like,
He does.
It's like they pulled him from the 80s. He's perfect.
Yeah.
The scene where he confronts Eleven and the demon is speaking through him. And because I used that as reference for some of the voice work in the short I made, just the way the sound is treated, the echo, the reverb, and the stuff. It's kind of a cool effect they got on him. But in watching that scene back and watching the performance and watching him cry as as the person inside him hears what the demon is making him say, it's like, this is a really good scene, and he did a great job.
He's great.
It.
Yeah.
To deliver threatening and hatred while his body is rebelling and showing sadness. It was really well done.
Yep.
I would hate for someone to tell me that was a visual, like, we put the tear in later. I think he did a great job there. But I don't know. Let's wait and see what I guess season 4 has to offer.
I don't mind things being a pastiche, but I mean, season 1 was very much like somebody saw Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson and wanted to make a Stephen King TV show, and that was basically the pitch, because that's the 2 strongest things in it, is ripping off Under the Skin and having Stephen King looking opening credits.
So then 80s nostalgia brings us to this week. I watched They Live. I had never seen it, and Big Trouble in Little China, which I had seen bits of, and fucking hell, John Carpenter makes a fun movie. I think of John Carpenter as horror movies and The Thing, I guess, and like, I've watched Escape from New York as well.
Didn't realise Bruce Campbell was the doctor in that, the plastic surgery doctor.
In Escape from New York, or is that Escape from LA?
Oh, it's one of them, but you know what I mean? The guy who kind of has the underground, it must be LA because it's the Hollywood prosthetic thing, but I didn't realise that was Bruce Campbell.
They Live is so much fun.
Let's talk about the alley fight-way scene, because it's so good.
It's too
You're either putting on those glasses or you're eating that trash can.
Yeah.
6 minutes later.
It's a wild scene of just
6 minutes later, they're holding each other,
wrestling,
looking at a drone in the sky.
But even like, I love that line, and the shot on that line is this. It's on Piper, but the camera's, it's not panning, it's kind of tilting to the left, I think, as he's turning to his right, and it's this great dramatic shot. It's just him in motion in the center of the frame, and the camera's just kind of tilting left, looking at him, and it just lets you know there's about to be a fight here, and it's this great action shot. And the rest of the scene lives up to that, the kind of the energy establishes in that shot, and it's just, yeah, it's those kind of camera moves are really cool John Carpenter stuff.
And I was watching Big Trouble in Little China yesterday with that kind of in mind, because like there's even down to the completeness of the guy does the scores for his own films, and there's a lot of, like, especially in They Live as well, a lot of setup and environmental stuff, and just like walking through worlds, like walking through New York or San Francisco, and just the rhythm of that music and the pace at which he cuts from shot to shot, holding your interest long enough. Like, in theory, the opening of They Live, you should be going, this fucker's just walking around, I'm bored now, but it does keep you in it.
It's just a drifter, like,
drifting,
wandering through the streets. Yeah. And it's about 20 minutes.
The famous one is, I am here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. But watching that movie, there's they need a wake-up call and we're phoning it in. Life's a bitch and she's in heat again. There are so many
weird,
but like,
weird lines with weird line readings as well.
But it feels like a response to like action movie catchphrases going on, and he's just like, I'm going to load my films with as many action movie catchphrases as I possibly can. It's Jack Burton literally has, I was born ready. Are we ready? I was born ready. It's full of them. It's so much fun. When he kisses Kim Cattrall and then does the next 5 scenes with just lipstick smeared over his face, dead seriously, he's just got red lipstick on his face, and at a certain point Kim Cattrall comes in and gives him the mother and rubs it off his face so the scene can continue.
Wait, Kim Cattrall is the woman who he jumps out the window?
Big Trouble in China.
Oh, I was like, what?
Big Trouble in China.
Sorry, I got confused. Yeah.
No, I'm kind of talking about
He's
them
hopping.
Interchangeably.
Yes.
Because the tone is so ludicrous. Like, they're different, but they're similar,
I remember seeing, I think it was like a Saturday night, and somehow RT were showing Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
And somehow all week I didn't see a single ad for it, right? Because usually the kind of case at home was, RT would advertise something all week, and I would beg to be allowed to stay up to watch it. And then, that was a little bargaining chip then. It was like, well, if you do this, if you behave, if you do that, you can kind of stay up and watch it. And it was a Saturday night, and my folks were going out, and yeah, somehow all week I had missed this ad for Big Trouble in Little China, and like right before, like I think like an hour or two before my folks were leaving to go out for the night, I saw this, the ad that RT said, like, that they cut together to show like this is on in an hour, and I was just like, oh my god, and I was hyper, and I was like, when's that on? Can I watch that? When's that on? Oh my god, can I watch that? And I was like, yeah, it's on later tonight. They knew. They basically knew it was like that. Somehow they'd managed to keep it from me. They were like, yeah, look, that's on tonight, and you can watch it if you behave. We're going out, and like that's what we're going to use to get you to behave tonight. But I remember, like, I still remember seeing that ad, going, what is this? I have to watch this. And then somehow, like, thinking it wasn't going to be on for like another week or something, and then finding out it was on in the next hour. And I think it obviously reminded me of Mortal Kombat or something, because like there's literally Raiden is in it, and I was like, holy shit, what is this?
Yeah.
Not a clue what it was about. Watched it that night, just thinking, this is my favorite thing ever, and how have I never heard of it before? So fun.
It's fascinating as well to bring like the like, look, the overly academic film school approach to it, but like it's been said like he's John Wayne. He's doing a John Wayne shtick as Jack Burton. Like, keep the home fires burning, and if we're not back, call the president. Like, it's John Wayne. But he's useless. He talks a big fucking game, but he's useless.
Hilarious.
He is just a spectator in a Chinese-centric story. And that's kind of cool that like they put out this Hollywood film in the 1986, I think it was. Like, representation on film and from Hollywood is always a conversation, and it is always lacking. And to just use Kurt Russell as a smokescreen for the fact that here is a useless American guy who's just riding sidecar thinking he's the hero, while Chinese guys fucking save the day, you know? Like, the moment where he finally manages to use that knife and a guy falls on him, and he's got the knife sticking out of his foot into the enemy, and he is just pinned on the ground, is so fucking hilarious. It's ludicrous. He's just stuck. And there's the oh, I can't remember the name of the guy who dragged him into all of it, is becoming more and more fucking a kung fu superhero as the story goes on, and Jack is getting more and more just
useless,
pinned on the ground. Lo Pan at the end when he falls over and is clearly on foot high, like 12-inch platform shoes. They keep talking about how tall he is, and he falls backwards, and you see these fucking milk crates that he's standing on attached to his feet. Is so ludicrous. I had a great time, and it made me want to go watch Escape from New York.
I remember seeing Escape from New York and LA for the first time, and particularly that scene with like Bruce Campbell and the people obsessed with like body modification and plastic surgery stuff scared me so much. It was a cartoon I watched when I was a kid. It was one of those, you know, like you kind of had those DVDs like, or those VHSs back in the day, like Black Star and Other Stories and all that kind of stuff. Star Killer, and it's like just rip-offs of Star Wars and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
One of those had a group of robots in it that would want human flesh because they would try and put the flesh on their robot bodies, and it was gross.
Nice.
And I loved it and it scared me.
Yeah. But it's just impressive how he rides the line of, this is fucking ludicrous. These characters are all comical, but they all take it so seriously that you take it seriously. That make any sense?
Yeah.
I guess moving us on, Resident Evil Village. You started playing.
Playing. Didn't get much further than the demo stuff, but
so what's your impression so far anyway? Like, I mean, it's 6 months solid of hype at this point.
Yeah, like it's kind of so far it's exactly what I was hoping it would be. 7 was a really good, like, kind of brief history. 4 was a major high point of the series, and they've re-released 4 so many times. Like they really did kind of almost perfect a lot of things in it in 4. 5 was okay. 5 isn't that bad. It's a lot shorter than 4.
What's the setting of 4? What is the, like, there's a degree of familiarity with Resident Evil around the sort of initial zombie horror games that came out, but 4 was a divergence to a degree.
It wasn't even massively a divergence. It was just the first time, like I think the last kind of mainline entry was a PS1 game, I believe, if that's right. And then they did like Code Veronica, which is kind of on Dreamcast and stuff. And you know, there was 1 or 2 games in between 4 that weren't like mainline entries, and the formula was getting a bit dated in terms of like the kind of tank controls and the pre-rendered backgrounds. So 4 found a way to update it a bit, have it like fully 3D, and like how do you make, like, a lot of the tension kind of comes from having a fixed camera angle with a pre-rendered background, but then you've got these really awkward tank controls. But they were able to kind of like create a lot of tension in those moments because there's things out of the frame, and it was, how do you recreate that tension in a game but update it a bit with like fully 3D environments and stuff. So that was one of the things that 4 did really well. Effectively, like in terms of story, it's some type of parasite, but for all intents and purposes you're up against some type of zombie enemy. But 4 kind of takes you through a village and the kind of surrounding parts in the village, so like a spooky church and things like that, and then you go from the village to a castle, and then from a castle to kind of a island facility. It's kind of a bit more industrial, but those are the kind of 3 main locations. And I had a really fantastic weapon upgrading system, and this merchant character who you'd kind of buy upgrades from, and really make the series kind of replayable. 5 was okay. Five wasn't awful. It just kind of built on 4 quite a bit. It was a lot shorter of a game. 6 was a mess, and then 7 was where they changed it up quite a bit. And it was a first-person view, and it's set in the swamps in Louisiana. And 8 is a continuation from that, but so 8 builds on the kind of first-person stuff in 7, but it brings in a lot of the kind of fan favorite stuff like the weapon upgrading and things like that. And then the setting is in a village and mostly kind of
So let me ask
gothic
you
castle
then:
and stuff.
is there a narrative through line through the entire series at this point, or are they different stories?
There is, and
Are you playing a character in 8 that is somebody
in
we've seen
in 8
before?
in 8 you're playing a character from when 7 came out. 7 looked like it was going to be a complete departure. It looked like they were going to abandon a lot of the kind of series lore and things like that. And by the time you get to the end of it, you realize it is still very much set in the world of Resident Evil, and kind of mild spoilers, but there's a mainline character, Chris Redfield. He was one of the 2 playable characters in the very first game. He appears at the end of 7.
Jeez, I played it. I don't even remember.
Yeah, and he's in Resident Evil 8 as well. So you're playing as the main character from 7 is a character called Ethan Winters. It's first person view, so you never get to see him. So he's very much like a player
You are
proxy.
Ethan.
Yeah. To the point where there's cutscenes where they're outside of your first person view, and they're still hiding like the character's face and stuff, and it's kind of unnecessary. So you're playing as Ethan Winters in 7. He's back in 8, but Chris Redfield is also back, and there is still a through line from.
Did 7 roll straight into 8, or is it 3 years later and now he's been asked to go and investigate this village?
3 years later, I think.
Did I make that up?
Yeah, I think it is 3 years later, but he's supposed to be kind of like an everyman character.
Okay.
In 7, he's just looking for his wife. He's gone missing, and then in 8, it's set 3 years later, and he gets dragged back into things.
Right. Is it the same village or is it a different village?
Different. So 7 was set in like kind of a swamp, Louisiana. 8 is set in an unnamed Eastern European village.
Okay. And
so far, like it's got everything that was good about 7, and it's brought in then a lot of the fan favorite stuff from 4 in terms of the village and the weapon upgrading system and things like that. So that's pretty much what I was expecting. I was like, I hope it's basically 7, but with the best parts from 4, and so far that's what it looks like.
Cool.
So,
and then the narrative that I'm getting from it is, kind of vampire focused rather than zombie focused. I think you did explain to me before that
it's always a virus or a parasite or something causing phenomena that tends to
resemble
look like
supernatural
werewolves, zombies. Yeah, exactly.
mythology,
Yeah. So sometimes they shoehorn it in, but that's Japanese sci-fi horror.
I know.
It's goofy. It's fun. Sometimes it'd be better if they just, it doesn't really dilute it. It's just it doesn't necessarily need
If they reined it in a small
to always connect to the kind of series lore. But I appreciate that they try to.
Okay.
I'm frustrated. I'm going back to work on Monday because not that I'm frustrated to be going back to work. It's great and I'm lucky, but I wish they released that game like 2 weeks ago. Because I will not have time to buy it or to play it, so I won't buy it for a while.
Okay, so and congratulations on going back to work. Stay safe. Wear your masks.
Wash hands and social distance.
Be sure to tattoo from 2 meters away.
Yes.
So I guess as we proceed, I don't know if it'll take more than 1 week, but we'll check in with Brian again on his progression with Resident Evil 8 and see how he's enjoying it. One of the things I saw during the week that I got kind of enthusiastic about whether or not I ever do anything with it is the trailer for Nintendo's Game Builder Garage.
I've still never heard of this.
It's just a trailer that dropped on like Wednesday for a game, and I don't work in programming. I don't do any programming. But I've done a few intro workshops and courses and stuff that kind of introduce the concept of the phrase is like, if this then that. So if this happens, this action occurs. And they've taken that logic and made it very user-friendly by the looks of it, very cartoony, like here's Tommy Joystick and here's Susan Character and here's Billy Block and here's, like, they've made it very kid-friendly. You bring an action node onto the screen, you drag it to the character you want it to affect, and the controller you want to do it. So it looks like, you know, if I move the stick to the right, this action occurs to this character. So you're creating in a very like kid-friendly, by the numbers user interface, basic game programming. Right? So
it's a great idea. Yeah.
It's a great idea, and by the looks of it, you can draw and insert your own assets. So you're designing the game that goes into it. And the trailer they put out showed a fairly comprehensive set of tools with which to build games, and the goal, I assume, in the same way that like Mario World Maker or Mario Maker or whatever it was that they develop a little marketplace. So I'm sure you'll be able to buy assets and buy people's games and share stuff in the community. And honestly, I haven't got a Nintendo Switch, and I'm always on the edge of it where I'm like, I know they're going to upgrade this thing soon, and that's been going on for 2 or 3 years at this point. They're about to update it, so I'm kind of afraid of buying one at this point.
I would hold out because they almost always use Zelda to launch the console, and there's a Breath of the Wild 2 sequel that we haven't seen anything about in over a year, I think, since we last saw anything. We haven't had any news about it, and I wouldn't be surprised if when we next hear about it, it's going to be to launch the Switch Pro or something like that. So I would, at this point, hold out. You can be guaranteed that when you buy it, there's one coming soon because there's a Zelda game in the pipeline. And what's often happened in the past is they've had a Zelda game coming up, and then the Zelda game comes out on the older, so like on, I think it was Twilight Princess, came out on the GameCube and the Wii, but it was originally developed for the GameCube. And then Skyward Sword was on the Wii and the Wii U, and I think the new Zelda game, like Breath of the Wild, was supposed to be on the Wii U and got delayed so that it could launch on the Switch, but it was on the Wii U as well. But so essentially there's a Zelda game in the works, so that means there's a console coming up.
Well, this game builder game is slated for, I think, November for release. Are you looking at the trailer? I see a lot of head shaking.
No, but take the knife out of your hand. Oh my god, it's going in your mouth. It's going into your face. I am shitting myself. This is, stop, Aiden. I don't know why you have a standing knife there. Stop. Stop. Put it down. Yeah, it's making me really uncomfortable. It's horrible.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't want to break your thing, but I was just like, oh, it's getting worse. He has 2 knives. He has 2 knives. Aiden, stop. Put them down.
Kevin's got OCD, so you're killing him. I said Kevin is OCD, so you're killing him right now.
Oh my god.
It's so funny. I was watching you just like have an emotional reaction to everything Brian was saying. It's just like, yeah, Zelda, I love Zelda, Nintendo, oh yeah, and it's really, you're just freaked out by the fact that I'm playing with a little Stanley blade. Okay.
Which you still are doing.
I'm not going to stop. It's okay, hold on, I'll get a pen.
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, Game Builder Garage looks fun. I saw somebody saying that it seems to be a pulled out component from the Labo thing. It was like a mini game in there that they've sort of expanded on. It looks fun. I'm curious how complex you can get with it.
Are people?
What was the?
I was gonna say, are people like, you know, why people mod likes of GTA and stuff? I don't, obviously, they probably did as PC and not PlayStation or whatever. I don't know. Do people mod games on Switch? Could this be something people mod?
I don't know about. I don't think people mod games on Switch. But there's a couple of games on Switch that allow for creativity and building your own levels, and they've got communities based around that. Like if you look at some of the Mario Maker games that people have made. Like the levels for Mario that they've put together, they're ludicrous. They're ludicrous things.
I've seen them, ridiculous.
Don't you need to be able to pass the level as well before you can upload it?
But you see videos of people passing these things, and you're like, well, that's fucking mental.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like it's. I've seen bonkers levels
That's pretty
created
cool.
in it.
But it is possible. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, and I think it might be the thing that makes me buy a Switch. And I'm hoping. I think E3 is an all digital event this year. I'm not sure. I don't think they're having an event, and Nintendo always does its own thing anyway. But they tend to make some announcements around the same time as E3. We get a Nintendo Direct thing. So I'm curious to see what's happening in the next coming months. So that's going to bring us then off of my list of nonsense to the thing we said we'd watch a bit of this week, which is Jupiter's Legacy. And I guess the first thing to ask is, did you get a chance to watch Jupiter's Legacy?
Yes.
Right?
I mean, yes. I didn't like it, so I didn't get into it. So
Did you watch one episode or two episodes?
I tried watching two, but look, when you cast a young man to play an old character, and then you give him a Santa Claus beard at the start, and he's backlit from the sun, and it makes his beard look super duper fake. In the opening scenes, I find it really hard to tune in. It's like, I know his beard's fake. That's fine. Don't backlight him. Don't have him standing in front of a sunset so I can see how stupid his beard looks.
I was looking at the hair.
Right away, I'm just like,
I was looking at the hair on his head because my hair is about that length. And if I'm outside, it is not rock solid at the top. And kind of just like sitting bell formed.
It moves, yeah,
around him. And it's one of these things that just makes something look cheap. And I went up and down on Invincible to say that I doubt that it's cheap. It's just not even bad decisions, but just an unfortunate decision.
I kind of want to, because I was dumping on it all fucking week or a number of weeks, but like Invincible clearly has like talented artists working on it, but there's just either not enough time. Well, I mean, money is time basically, so I'd imagine more so than it being cheap, it's that there's a really tight time constraint. It just feels a bit rushed more than anything. But yeah.
So we know there's money. We know there's Netflix money. We know there's Ironhead Studios costumes going into this thing. But if you don't, in the same way that they are going into DC and Marvel movies as well, but if you don't use them right, they look just as plastic and rubbish as anything fucking else going into things. And
yeah,
I think when he's sitting down to talk to the kids in the first time, because the shoulder unit, whatever way it's padded or whatever the hell else, is just not connected to him, he just got this little fucking pencil neck in, like, he looks like Earthworm Jim is what it looks like floating in that suit. And I know I'm just picking a bullshit and I want to get into the story a bit of it. Did Kevin, did you enjoy it? Did you watch it?
I watched it. I watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes. I think I fell asleep during the third, not for any particular reason other than I was tired. Guys, it's very different in the book. And I think, I'm not too sure how they came from the book, which had very, very strong foundations and just like a good solid storyline, to the approaches that they took with the show. It's very, very
that's the thing, like Miller always writes his stuff almost with adaptation in mind. Like it's always written in a way that he knows exactly. His model now basically is like he creates a story outline for something because he knows exactly what type of. I mean, like a lot of the MCU is based on his Ultimate Stick. You know, like he knows how to write stuff
for TV production
that can be adapted. Yeah, you know. So it's very strange.
So we opened meeting the children as kids, seeing Utopian delivering his code that which he lives by, and giving the lecture to the kids. And it's a pretty, like, it's a nice little scene. The kids are really happy and clearly love their father, and he wants to go and get ice cream with them, but he puts the job above the kids and leaves them there in the woods walking home themselves. It does exactly what it needs to do, and it shows that sort of what's the word, the sidelining of his parental responsibility for his career, just such as it is. It is weird to think that the kids are in their 20s, the parents are in their 90s, so like somewhere around about 85 years old, Granny got pregnant. The only thing aging is the hair by the look of it.
Yes, yeah.
But that's the thing, like obviously they're aging a lot slower because they've superpowers. But like just like Josh Duhamel's probably
45.
early mid 40s. Just have him look like a 45-year-old and say actually like just have him look like himself and say he's actually 90 and we go, oh wow, so that's his powers. Instead he just looks like a guy in old man makeup, and not good old man makeup either. Like he looks
It's just hair. It's just wig
it,
and
it,
beard.
it,
Looks fucking shit.
it reminds me of when they did the Hobbit in 48 frames a second, and it looked like a stage production. It's like Ian McKellen is very like this. Ian McKellen is wearing so much old man makeup as Gandalf, and it looked like Ian McKellen is dressed up as a wizard as opposed to
Being a wizard.
it looks like cosplay, and it's the same thing. It looks like Josh Duhamel is dressing up as an old person. It would just make so much more sense to say, like, do what they do with Bucky and Cap. Say, yeah, they're actually 90. And you go, oh, right, okay, cool. So they're aging a lot slower. I get it. Just give them gray hair. Give them their real hair, but yeah, it's stupid.
There's a thing happening, like, and it's not happening in the Marvel costumes. They're just making the fucking Marvel costumes. But he had a white suit in the comic book. Just give him the fucking white suit. Why is there like cosmic glyphs and shit on it?
It's the etchings he has these visions of, isn't it?
Well, I know I'm really fucking picking at production design and stuff.
Well, I would say, because like I read the comic, like William Torres, is that the guy who did the prequel books? Alfredo Torres.
Wilfred Torres.
But his comic designs for like a particular era are so nice and stuff. They're really, really beautiful, and like the designs in the book, they're kind of they're basic, but they're not really complicated. And as you said, it feels like they overcomplicated it, and there was no need. Some of the stuff doesn't, like, obviously it's based heavily off the comic book, but it actually works better in the book than they kind of tried to push it too far on the TV show almost. Their crotches look very strange. They're very angular. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed the cod pieces.
Yeah, they're really blocky.
I'm just having a look at some of Frank Quitely's drawings of this stuff, just to sort of by comparison it.
Also, do you know the Black Star, the evil guy?
Yes.
Dark Star or Black Star, I can't remember his name. And his son kills him.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen in the book at all. So I have no idea where they're going to take that storyline.
Yeah, see, I read the first couple of issues of the book, and I don't know if I moved or I stopped buying comics for a while or whatever. I didn't get the rest of the, like, I don't know what the arc of this is. I should probably read it. But taking the show on its merits, the son struggling to live up to the father's thing is, I like it. I feel sorry for him. Him overhearing his father going, I don't think he's ready and I don't think he ever will be, and having that as a repetitive thing running through his head, and the uncle who's able to hear the thoughts hearing this running through the kid's head. I like that a lot. The daughter is too much, and they needed to rein that back in, because she's just running through scenes. Like, she doesn't even have that many scenes, but she's just...
Do you know what's so weird? She looks awful in the comic books. Like, Frank Quitely, they gave her a strange haircut. And this is actually the book that kind of won me over in terms of his aesthetic, but gave her a really strange haircut. And of all the things to be comic accurate in any comic book adaptation, they went with her bloody haircut.
I don't think it's the show's biggest problem.
I think it's well, you both like Speed Racer, so you can go fuck off.
We're only winding up, Kev.
You're a piece of shit. Brian, Aiden, take out the knives. Play with them all you fucking want. I'm going. Put the knife back. Oh, he's touching his eyebrow with it. The show, I to be honest, it's not as kind of, is it as cheap? Aspects of it are cheap, I guess. Yeah.
I want to avoid the word cheap. I do.
Because
cheap is a word in review that means nothing, adds nothing to it. But it's very soap opera-y. It feels very like there's definitely Arrow moments. The guy wheels in a wheelchair and sees his daughter there and literally does the "Are you all right?" moment, which I want to think of better things to say than just bad. But like, Leslie Bibb goes to put on her son's tie, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever had anybody put a tie on me. Is that a thing that happens? Someone showed me how to tie a knot, and then I tied the knot, and then it's such a script writing trope.
I've done.
Let me do that for you. And
I've
someone
done
tries
loads.
to tie for somebody.
I've done loads of ties for other people, but I can't do them on them. I have to take it off and put it on myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pure
you're
muscle
asking
memory.
somebody
I have no
to
idea how to do
tie
it.
backwards.
Yeah. I was going to say also. Do you know the big man in it? Big man or big boss they called him, and he had like the glowing skull, and he met the guy in the bathroom. He met Sky Fox's son in the bathroom. Sky Fox's son has a crazy mohawk, and he met him in the bathroom.
Is that episode 3?
Do you mean Star Fox?
Star Fox.
No, Sky Fox.
There's a Star Fox video game as well on Nintendo, but there's Thanos' brother or son?
Oh, the guy who loves everybody. Or he's meant... And he's like a charmer. He's awful. He's basically...
Yeah. He's got the power of like charisma, basically. He's in the She-Hulk comics because he gets pulled up for sexual harassment, which is a really weird storyline. I heard an interesting rumor about that character too. So no, should I say it here?
If it's rumor, it's not a spoiler. It's just supposition.
I mean, it's a spoiler if it's true.
But we don't know that it's true. It's unverified. Let's go for it.
So, well, there's going to be a She-Hulk TV show.
David E. Kelly producing. It's a legal drama. There's a dancing CG baby. Callista Flockhart's playing the Hulk.
That's Atana McBeal.
There's a rumor
that
they are going to introduce Star Fox in the Eternals.
There's a rumor that character is going to appear in the Eternals. Is he an Eternal? Is he Thanos' son or brother?
He is Thanos'. He's spacey and he's Thanos' son and brother. Yeah, I remember he used to have the Wolverine haircut and the white and red suit.
Thanos isn't a Celestial, but he was made by the Celestials.
He's a Titan. So there's concept art of
he's from the planet Titan, but he's got the deviant gene. So the Celestials created humans, Eternals, and deviants. And Thanos isn't a deviant, but he has the deviant gene. But is he Celestial too then? I can't remember. But anyway, basically, the Eternals is going to be about the Celestials and stuff, and because it deals with that stuff with Eternal, Celestials, Deviants, and Thanos had a deviant gene. Star Fox is going to be introduced possibly in an end credit scene in Eternals.
Interesting. Okay.
But different from the Sky Fox that Kevin is talking about.
When you're at the point that you're not just suggesting this is a rumor, you are suggesting this is a rumor, but you've put it to the point where it's possibly like a sting or an end credit scene. Is there any casting suggestion?
No casting yet. No, not that I've heard.
Because there's still that loose end on Guardians with Adam Warlock.
I know, I'm dying for that.
But we've
they didn't really know what they were doing there. I think that's the thing.
Was the Russos or was that Gunn?
That was Gunn. We've bounced off of Jupiter's Legacy. We're 2 episodes in. Josh Duhamel, who's not Josh Lucas, and Josh Lucas is not Matthew McConaughey, even though you could be convinced.
And he's not Timothy Oliphant.
He's not Timothy Oliphant. He's not Timothy Oliphant.
No.
Also, they should have just cast Timothy Oliphant because he looks appropriately old. But
I would say Timothy Oliphant saw the beard and decided against it.
Yeah, but why would you want to cover half of his face?
Why would you cover his face? Yeah.
Why would you cover half of his face? He's beautiful.
We're talking about Oliphant now, not Duhamel.
The flashback stuff.
Duhamel's ugly.
He's very emotional, actually. He cries a lot.
The flashback stuff in the 30s is pretty good.
Yes, that's the stuff I liked in the comic. So the original run, we just say, was like kind of at the start of the story, they're fighting that Black Star, Dark Star guy or something, right?
Well, that's a Miller attempt at like disassembled or there's a word I'm thinking of, I can't think of it, but there's a new interpretation or a reimagining or a sideways look at the concept of superheroes in a contemporary society. What does the second and third generation deconstruction? Thank you. What does the third generation or second generation superhero do in a society based around celebrity and social media? And that's cool. And that was the original intent of Jupiter's Legacy, as I understand it. the fact that they managed to set up some really nice golden age superheroes and leave a back door open to go back and do the stuff that you like, the Wilfred Torres stuff, is kind of an aside, and you're responding very sincerely to a natural love of golden age superheroes.
I know, yeah.
And
well, it's
unless
funny
you tell me that stuff is as sort of sideways and messed up, or is it just straight superhero stuff?
In the comics,
yeah. Is it straight superhero stuff at that point?
The prequel stuff, no. It's
no.
far.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's more like the dynamics between the superhero group. One fella leaving his wife, one person being blackmailed by J. Edgar Hoover, I think it is, for being a homosexual, and he's in Hollywood. It's there's all those different things about it, but it's really
Hoover.
Yeah, but it's really, really good, man. It's so good. Like, if they do that in the show, I'd be really interested in that to do it. But there's a scene in the comics between, I'm really confused now, Sky Fox and J. Edgar Hoover that's very, very good. But the Golden Age stuff in the comic, it's beautifully drawn, beautifully designed. I encourage you guys to check it out. But it's great, and that's actually just show. That's the aspects of the show I like more, probably more like yourself, Aiden. Yeah.
Well, I just think that stuff they've just set so far in as a period drama. Like, we've not seen anything superheroic or nonsensical happening there yet. They've just done a pretty decent post Great Depression company trying to, figure out what to do.
Yeah, wait till you watch episode 3.
The first 2 episodes set up superheroes in contemporary superheroes. They're runaway children and a son that wants to have the father's approval, but might be sliding down a dark path. And I think it's really a lot of setting up in those first 2 episodes anyway. The Dark Star guy looks comic book accurate, but looks funny.
Yes.
Leslie Bibb? I'm always surprised when she pops up.
She was in Popular. I loved her in Popular.
And Iron Man.
Everyone remembers Popular.
I love Popular.
Everyone
Popular
remembers Leslie Bibb remembers Popular. But that was 2001 to 2004 or something.
Probably. I like Popular. Yeah.
It I mean, I guess
I liked
it kind of had a Glee, kind of was what Glee was in terms of, what's his name? The guy that runs those shows? Kind of a...
Ryan Murphy.
I just mean in the sense that it was a kind of another sort of
coming of age teen drama.
Yeah, but it was a slightly sarcastic or acerbic or a dark take on,
more cynical.
Yeah, a more cynical take on that sort of thing. So it did something slightly different. But I was just remember thinking when I was watching it, going, "Oh yeah, Leslie Bibb, yeah, she is working." I mean, she was in Iron Man as well, and then I went, "Oh wait, that was 2008, and I don't know what she's done in 12 years."
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2, 2010, yeah.
Okay.
But it's just a quick side note. Sam Rockwell in Iron Man 2 is actually one of the biggest redeeming factors of it. It's like when he's on screen, he's enjoyable. So that really made that movie. I can't imagine, enjoying that movie without him. He is just brilliant. He is.
Rockwell's got a lot of charisma.
I didn't enjoy it.
Oh, I love him.
And I love him, but the film sucked. I was annoyed because he's so great in Charlie's Angels. And I was like, I can't wait to see him in Iron Man 2. It's going to be cool. And then they barely used him. I like Charlie's Angels.
I liked him as this, because I remember Justin Hammer from like the comics and from the cartoons as a skinny old white man, and being all like conservative and stuff. And it was funny to see him as the take was just like
poor man's Tony Stark.
Like poor man. I was going to say like Penny's Tony Stark.
I love the fake tan in his hands. Such a great touch.
Yeah, he's so good.
When I was watching first, I was like, how did they let that slip? I was like, that looks so bad. I was like, oh wait, no. I'm assuming, like, I've never read it anywhere, but I'm assuming it's deliberate. But if you look at his hands, he's got fake tan on the palm of his hands, and it looks awful. And I just kind of assumed.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a character thing that he. But when I saw it in the cinema first, I was like, that looks so bad. Why didn't anyone catch that? I was like, oh wait, that's right.
Yeah, he's awful. But the thing is, though, Sam Rockwell would make a great character in the Marvel or the MCU. But I don't know who, but like Star Fox.
Well,
But
unfortunately, he's
he's used.
Justin Hammer.
Yeah.
I mean, Gemma Chan is playing two different characters in the MCU, so he can play someone else.
Who's
Alfred
Gemma Chan
Woodward
play?
played two. She's in the Eternals, and she's in Captain Marvel. She's Minerva in Captain Marvel. She's blue, and has a sniper rifle.
Oh yes,
okay.
yeah. Ah, well, yeah.
Can't expect
I
me
mean-
to remember somebody who's blue.
Prosthetics.
Why would you not remember somebody that's blue? They're blue.
Okay, so there are 8 episodes of Jupiter's Legacy. I think it's safe to say that while the book is much loved and the art's great, Frank Whiteley stuff's great,
And Torres is brilliant.
Wilfred Torres stuff is, depending on your
Beautiful.
taste, you've got two ends of a spectrum to look at there. This show so far is not great. I'm going to watch the rest of them. I'm 2 episodes in. I will get to episode 8. We'll see how we feel. Like, if I'm able to watch fucking 6 seasons of Arrow, I can watch 8 episodes of
Jesus.
Jupiter's Legacy and see where we get.
Why did you do that to yourself?
That Stephen Amell is just dreamy.
Even my dad got fed up with the Arrow. I think he dropped out. Couldn't stick it.
I have to watch the Superman show that they've done.
I don't like
Tyler
that guy as
Hoechlin's-
Superman.
No?
He has an evil
kinda
face.
Oh, alright. Kind of does have like Ty Burrell vibes, but that might just be the eyebrows.
It's funny because he voices the main bad guy in the remake of Final Fantasy VII,
Really?
and he does it great. So like, yeah, he's got good villain energy.
Yes, but he looks like a villain. He doesn't look like Superman.
Funnily enough, though, is it George Newbern was also the voice of Superman at one point? The guy who did the voice of Superman in the animated Superman show.
Right.
I think it's George Newbern, I think his name is. He voiced Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And now they've got a new voice actor, but it's Tyler, I don't know how to pronounce his surname, is it
Hoechlin.
Hoechlin or Hecklin? He is now voicing Sephiroth also. So the two people who have played Sephiroth have also played Superman at
Oh,
some
that's
stage.
crazy.
It's just a funny coincidence.
I'll stick with it. I should probably check out that Superman thing. Do we want to talk about the Superman casting stuff at all?
Oh yes. Okay. So
Like, what is that story? Is that just a rumor that came out of nowhere? Is that an actual announcement from Warner Brothers?
I think that's the plan.
they announced it on Henry Cavill's birthday that they're going to go.
So they're announcing that the next Superman that they
That's not
cast
true.
for a live action adaptation is going to be an African American guy.
They didn't announce anything on his
Oh,
birthday.
that's what I read.
That's not true.
That's what I heard.
No, it's not true.
Okay, fair. That was just
Fake
angry
news.
Snyder fans.
Yeah, just those losers.
But
That's right, I said
So
it.
okay, so yeah,
Losers.
what's the story of this
somebody
guy?
fill me in on this story.
It's not Clark Kent.
No, it's Clark Kent,
Okay,
as far as I know.
okay.
It's Abrams is producing.
Uh-huh.
Ta-Nehisi Coates is writing,
Okay.
and the story is that they're looking for a black director
Okay.
and a black actor.
But they haven't cast as Superman. Who would you like to see him play? Who would you like to see play him?
Don't really care. There was a rumor it would be Michael B. Jordan, but he's he's denied it. But that can all change.
He's also though like kind of he's in everything though, isn't he?
Yeah, is he?
Well, like he's in a lot of franchises. He's in
He's
Rocky.
Fantastic
He's
Four,
in Tom
he's
Clancy.
in
He's in
Rocky.
Marvel.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Yeah.
He's making hay.
Oh, yeah, look, I think he's brilliant. I think he is a great actor, and he was in.
I just
MCU
think
twice.
that to try and reach for a Superman casting at this point, like, I don't actually have a list of appropriately aged actors to put in that role in my head. I don't have. Like, even when I say who are you going to cast as Superman, I know they need a young dude, usually in his late 20s, so that they can think franchise wise and give it a 10-year
Because
margin.
Marvel always goes for kind of guys in their late 30s, early 40s to play their superheroes.
Is that true?
Yeah,
Downey
like
Jr. was a big name, so they got a big name.
Paul Rudd,
Yeah.
Ed Norton.
I don't know if that's true necessarily that they need somebody necessarily that young.
You don't think?
I don't think they do.
No, it depends on what story they want to tell. If they want to do him as a teenager in Smallville, like they've done the origin too recently, so I don't think they'll go that route again.
Yeah.
So who knows what they're going to do with it?
I think
Like they only need to cast somebody young if they want to show him in high school and then in Metropolis and then continue forward.
do you think what's his name? John David Washington?
It could be anybody.
Yeah.
Really don't care.
Yeah. You don't care.
But that's it.
As in, like it's too far away. I don't care. I don't care that they're. I think it's great that they're casting a black actor if they do. That's a great way to look at. Like, one of the most interesting parts about Superman is that he's an outsider, you know. So, like, it doesn't make a difference if they cast a black actor or not.
He's an alien.
He's an alien. Like, anybody who's got a problem with that is also a loser. But like
I'd rather a good Superman movie. I don't care who plays or what they look like plays Superman. I'd rather a good Superman movie than a fucking stinker like Cider. You know, at the end of the day, none of it matters. It's like, let's just get human beings to make a great movie that I enjoy the story and the characters and I can empathize with them. You know, that kind of way. It's just like, I don't care. But make as many movies and try as many things as you want. I'm up for it. You'll get my money. I'll be happy. And if they're hits, great. You know.
Yeah, I know it's a slightly different, like, because we've kind of just said it there. It doesn't matter who the fuck ultimately plays him. I said to you guys yesterday that, like, you know, James Bond, English super spy, has been played by a Scotsman, an Irishman, a Welshman, and an Australian before it got back to being an English person. Like, it doesn't matter who the fuck plays the role as long as the film's decent, you know?
Yeah, it's a funny one because if someone kind of does say, like, oh, well, kind of...
The frustration is... The little bit of frustration is that what I love about the Marvel Universe is a sense of, even if it is fractured and wobbly and crumbling in places, there is a sense that they're trying for a cohesive entity moving forward as a whole. And DC is just batshit fucking crazy all over the place. Now, you kind of touched on it there, Brian. JJ's involved now. And did I see somewhere suggesting that they're letting him have the guiding hand on the DC franchise going forward?
I'm not sure. I mean, who knows? It all depends on how it pans out. I know he was supposed to direct a Superman movie years ago as well, and that didn't play out. But now they've decided to go ahead with him. But there's no real plan there at the moment. It'll all depend on how successful it is, really.
Yeah, DC are funny, I guess. You know, it's obviously it's big news, but it's like, it's, as Brian said, it's like, it's so early to tell. It's almost not news.
Yeah,
it's like
essentially not news.
Yeah, it's like basically what they're telling us is we've decided to go for a black Superman, and that's all the information they have, and it's just like, all right, cool.
While we're still on comic stuff, I guess it's worth noting John Paul Leon died over the week. He would not have been a name that I would know specifically, so I don't want to, grief bandwagon jump on or whatever.
Yes, same, yeah.
I was not overly familiar with it, but that's true of comic books. There's so many artists doing amazing work, and the anybody passing at such a young age is tragic. And go and look at his work; it's absolutely gorgeous. John Paul Leon's comic book work is stunning.
Yeah, I was following
absolutely amazing stuff.
Yeah, I was following on Instagram, but I was probably only on the basis of seeing like one or two images. I was like, oh, that's cool, and follow. I wasn't really aware of who he was either, to be honest. But God, his artwork is beautiful and it's tragic.
It's such an odd industry that, like, I can pick up any 10 of the stack of comics I have here, and it'll be 10 random artists that drew 3 comics and then went, this fucking industry is crushing and I can't work in it, and they went somewhere else and did, whether it's illustration or storyboarding or film or something else. The amount of, like, attrition, fall off of people that think they want to draw comics and then meet the deadlines, meet the wages, meet whatever, and then disappear. This is just by way of me saying there's such a pool of talent out there in the world, and my only disappointment is I didn't know his work before he died, and it's great to see it.
I believe he was a mentor to Bernard Chang. Bernard Chang is a great artist who's doing stuff with the new Children of the Atom book, I think it is. I'm reading that at the moment, or I'm reading that as it comes out. I believe Bernard posted something. I think it's in Bernard Chang posted something just recently, like as in the last day or two, kind of talking about is it John and his mentoring and how kind of the different things and stuff. It is sad. I also somebody was saying recently, I don't know what comic book artist it was. We're talking about kind of people coming into the industry nowadays and being really disheartened really fast. It's like kind of they're really struggling with the concept of you're not going to draw Superman, off straight out of college. You're not going to draw Superman. You will be potentially working on like maybe 3 or 4 pages a week from different books because you need to do work, and and students dropping out or quitting even before they get started because it's just not what they want. They want to do a job. Batman. They want to be famous.
There was a tweet from, I think it's PJ Holden. I think he's a Scottish comic book artist. Or maybe he's
I know the name.
And he just said, I think it was PJ Holden, but it's just as like, it's funny how a comic book artist goes from breakthrough to workhorse to veteran to legend without ever making much more money per page.
Yeah. Awful. Yeah.
So let's draw this to a close then. I'm going to watch the rest of Jupiter's Legacy. If not all of it, a few more episodes this week. We'll come back and we'll talk about it. Yeah. Brian, you same homework. Grin and bear.
Brian's being very profound now.
Your love of the hairstyling in the show is going to carry us through in terms of our salty reviews. Leslie Bibb's grey wig, great.
I mean, all the grey hair is designed to make people look as attractive as possible, but older, and it just doesn't work.
It's so weird. It just doesn't quite work.
Also, as well, like it just, I know this is a small little detail, but like, if you manage to have hair when you're that age, it is white more than grey.
Oh, okay.
So that's accurate, but it looks bad when you put it on very clearly young people. Like, it would have made more sense to go with grey, with like a kind of a ash silver grey as opposed to the white color. It just looks costume. It looks so costumey, and it just.
I don't have this is so funny because it really has, the whole review of this show has devolved into the hair looks funny, and
I think
it's.
It kind of emblematic of the show, though, is the thing. Like, it seems like a nitpick, but it kind of sums up the approach and
this was
where they're paying the attention on the show, Yeah.
It's not even that it's the wrong color grey, but it's that it's rock fucking solid on their heads.
That's it.
It's the same thing I have with the guy who plays John Constantine in the Hellblazer show. It's like his tie isn't loosened. He looks costume, that's the thing. It is systematically and always 12 inches down mid-level between his chest, and some costumer is coming, or some continuity person makes sure the knot of his tie is down between his nipples every fucking shot, and it's like, nobody has ever loosened their tie.
Just don't wear a tie then, if that's the case.
That's, yeah.
But like that's kind of what I mean by the hair, is that like it makes it look more unnatural.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, it doesn't move, it just kind of sits there, and it's like, yeah, if you're lucky enough to have hair at that age, it is more white than grey. But when you put it on a wig on a person that's clearly not 90, it looks even more fake, because it just adds to the fact that it's sitting there not moving and it looks unnatural, and it's kind of
it looks as plastic as the fucking shin guards is basically what's going on. Anyway, look, we're going to watch the rest of Jupiter's Legacy.
I mean, we might. I might not.
It'll be on in the room.
It'll be on in the background,
play
probably.
Resident Evil Village 8 or whatever we're calling it. We're holding out to Loki, folks. We're holding out to Shang-Chi. There's still a lot to watch. There's the Irregulars, the Nevers, Shadow and Bone. Those 3 shows all land at the exact same time and have similar vibes to me.
Shadow and Bone is good, actually. I've watched Shadow and Bone.
Okay.
Much better than Jupiter's Legacy.
Okay.
Check it out. Might take a couple of episodes to get into, but there's only 8, and it was good.
Okay.
I liked it.
I'll have a look at some of that again this week as well, if you feel up to it.
I didn't like the Irregulars so much, though.
That's got a Sherlock Holmes
that less.
connection?
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes. I didn't like it as much. I couldn't tell you if it's bad or not, but I didn't like it that much.
I'm reading Something is Killing the Children. I don't know if you've heard about that. It's from Boom Studios, and it's blown up. Like if you try to find issue 1 first print, it's like already $2,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I'm reading that book at the moment.
That's a bubble.
Yeah, it's mental. So
I
something's eating the children.
I wouldn't buy that for $2,000.
No. Yeah. Oh, Sweet Tooth's coming out as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot coming up.
Yeah.
I just need something to keep me smiling while I'm shoveling popcorn into my face.